Hello, this is the introduction to Micro 232, the microbiology lab. This particular class is meant to be a independent class. It can be associated with the microbiology 230, but it does not follow specifically with the lectures and all that in 230. It does follow closely, but you'll find that some of the assignments don't match up to some of the chapters, and it's not meant to, because the labs are distinct and not considered to be absolutely a part of each chapter. So what I'm going to do is take you through a little orientation here and let you get an idea of what we're talking about or what you're going to need to do. If you go to the web page in D2L for Microbiology 232, you'll see something like this, and you'll see a little welcome here at the top. And what you'll see, and it's not here yet, is you'll see this orientation listed here. So if you clicked on that, that's what you have. There's also a set of class instructions, and you'll find that it's kind of like the syllabus light, as I like to call it. It'll talk a little bit about what you're going to do. On the left-hand side, you'll see a welcome letter, or click to the welcome letter, hot link to the syllabus, hot link to the schedule, and then of course the online student handbook. And then pretty much that's all you really need to know from the front. Now, this particular class is set up to be there will only be a lab due each and every week, and with the final lab being worth a few more points, and I'll explain that later. So there are no discussion questions. There are no case studies or anything that go along with this. All you have to do each week is to finish a single lab, and that lab is done online, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And one of the requirements of being in this class is that you have access to the McGraw-Hill Learn Smart labs, and I'll show you how we get there in just a bit. So as we go through here, we'll see the course home, and I'm going to go to content here, which is where most of your information is going to be in just a minute. What you'll also see here is assessment. So if you ever want to know what your grades are, you can check grades there, and we'll talk a little bit about, there's no Dropbox or anything like that. Communications, Collaborate is what I'm using right now, and so you'll have access to that, and that kind of tells you what's going on. And you'll also see your class list. I think you have access to that, so that's kind of helpful. So let's go to the content and take a look at that. And what you're going to see here is every week has a module, and there's the class documents, which are the first module. You'll see there's a welcome letter, syllabus, and schedule there. Now my resume is located, will be located right there. My resume is before that. I put that in my CV resume just so you know who I am. You'll also see the Micro Lab 232 registration details. Those are the things you need to know to get signed up for it. And then there's the directions on how to connect the lab. So you want to get this, the direction of the lab, and then use those registration details to fill in the blanks. It'll tell you what the course is called and Lab Smart and all of that. And if you have bought the card, if you bought the access code, you just put the access code in. If you don't have the access code, you'll have to pay for it, and that'll let you work through when you get into it. So that's the first one. Once you've done that, the first week it's a lab safety PowerPoint. That's the first thing you'll have. And the lab safety will be the first thing we're talking about, not PowerPoint. There's a PowerPoint for that. There's a syllabus survey that I want you to do. I'll put that above that now. It needs to be there. Sorry. Put that there. And then there's a lab safety PowerPoint. There's a set of instructions for the lab, and the instructions are usually at the bottom of each of the sheets I give you. And then there's Lab Smart exercise. And what you'll do is the directions how to connect to Lab Smart, you'll see that. And then the registration details are still there, the same things I just gave you. And then what you'll know is you've already created a place to go to do your labs, and your name will already be located and all of that when all this is done. So you'll automatically sign up, and I'll see your name there. Now, the thing you have to know is the labs that are being done on the McGraw-Hill website, and so I have to put those grades in manually. So what will happen is at the end of every module week, 22nd to the 28th of August in this case, 28th, which is a Monday night, I will, once 11:59 Central Standard Time, p.m., it will close, and then the next day or two, I will bring those grades over. And the thing about the Lab Smart is that you could do those as many times as you want to, but once that 11:59 p.m. on Monday night hits, the grade stands as it is. You can't make your grade better by going back and redoing it or anything like that. So you can do as many times as you want before then to get the best grade you can. You can repeat those again and again until you get them right. And so that's basically the labs. So that's what you see in the first week. Now, every week's going to look just like this, except there may or may not be a recording here that talks a little bit about the information. You may see that too, recording the PowerPoints. Some require that, some don't. So then you see the LabSmart process. You do the LabSmart, and I'll show you how to get the LabSmart in just a bit. So you see what that's all about. And then we're going to go from there. So that's kind of the first page. That's the content you'll see. If you go into this class documents, you want to read the welcome letter, and you want to read the syllabus. I really challenge you to read the syllabus because it tells you where the points are at and all that. I'm going to click on that now just to talk about it a little bit. It tells where the class stuff is. It talks about all the things we're going to talk about as we go through this. We'll go through the overview, what you're going to be done, that everything is due. It will be due, and it says everything will open up on Tuesday at 8 a.m. and close Monday night at 11:59 p.m. So you have a week to do everything. I challenge you not to wait till the last minute. Some of these labs will take you a couple hours. So I want to make sure that you're not waiting till the very end to do it, because once it closes, and you'll see that I don't take late work. So whatever your grade is at that time is your grade. There's no makeup or can I get another chance or whatever. That's not the way it works. So you do the LabSmart exercises, you'll have 14 of those, which are worth 25 points apiece for a total of 350 points. The final lab experience, which is really discovering the genus and species of an unknown organism, it'll require several steps, and that's going to give you 50 points, and that's sort of your final, if you will. And you can redo that as many times as you want to get the right answer. So again, you can kind of redo things until you get the grade you want, as long as it's before that deadline of 11:59 p.m. on each Monday. The weekly lab experiences, there's 14, worth 25 points, 350 points. The final lab is worth 50 points, one of those, and that'll be 400 points. Now, the grades are as follows: 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 90 is a B, 70 to 80 is a C, and on down. So there's the way it works. And there's no makeup, there's no extra credit, and there's no curves involved in this. So I just want you to know that. If you look at the syllabus, you'll also see disability statements, who to call and who to talk to if you need to file a disability statement. And then there's a freedom of learning statement, which talks about what you need to do and if you don't feel like you're being treated fairly. My boss is Dr. Stephen Waller, and he's very accessible. My expectations are that you comply with all the policies. You have to have a university account. You check your email at least once a day, because that's what I do. And due to privacy and confidentiality, I only communicate with you through D2L. And I do have an account in usd.edu, but I prefer that you stay in D2L because it helps me identify which class you're in. When you send me an email in the university account, what happens is that I have to go find out which class, and I have about 300 students, so I have to find out which of the 300 students you are. In the beginning of the course, it's very difficult. I'm available with email, and if you have something that's an emergency, you always contact me on my phone, either call me or voice or texting. Now, it has to be an emergency or at least an urgent problem before you do that. I hope you'd use an email. And that if you want to use a text, I'm pretty good at answering those. If I'm not someplace where I answer the voicemail, I may put you on voicemail and answer it at a convenient time for me. So I want you to know that. I ride a motorcycle. I don't often answer my voicemail or text at that point in time. On your D2L course page, you'll access the outline. Now, there's no lectures or case study or syllabus or anything, but you'll just become familiar with that. Academic dishonesty. If there's any academic dishonesty, I will turn that over to student misconduct. They have three choices. They can project a 0 for the whatever you did that was dishonest. They can require you to remove you from the class, or they can remove you from the university depending on the level of that dishonesty. Plagiarism, by the way, is academic dishonesty, and I've written out a lot of the plagiarism information so you have a good idea what that's about. Now, the assessment, like I said, is there's no unit exams or anything at the end. It says here at the end there is, but there isn't. I'll have to fix that. And there's only the labs to do. There's none of this other to do, so you can kind of ignore all that. So as we go back to class documents, you can see that there's the directions, and let's click on the directions to see what we're doing here. And you'll see that it'll take a little while to load up because it's like graphics. Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. So there's the student tips, and so I'll say, okay, here's what you do to get started. I'll give you the web address and stuff, and that's all on that piece of paper that's on the other hot link. And you'll go there, the example of correctness is there, and give you access, if you will. And there's registration. You'll register and put your account number in, and that will automatically tell you what's due and when it's due. If you have trouble logging in or forgot password, you can do all those kind of things. Home, it'll tell you home. If you go to home, it'll tell you all assignments. It tells you really what you have to know. So that's just a good way of looking at that information. Now, what you'll also see is the registration details, and what's going to happen is this is printed out to tell you what you're going to do. So there's me, there's my name, there's the section we're talking about, this is the registration date, this is the location of where you register, and then it'll take you to this address, this microbiology lab for McGraw. So it kind of gives you all the information you're going to need as you go through, and that'll walk you through that process. So that's the introduction for the Microbiology 232 lab. Now, as I said, this will be located in the beginning of this. You'll see this located if you want to do it again. It'll also be located here under USD info, and I'll probably send you an email out to sort of hot link that too, so you know to take a look at that. So have a great day. I hope everything works out. Talk to you later.